Hello and welcome back to the Suburban Chateau for day 3 of our vintage handmade Christmas. Today we're going to do one of my favorite things, and that is of course making scented candles for gifts for friends and family. And I just recently learned a lot more about soy wax and how to make soy candles. So I'll be sharing some ideas, how to use some creative vessels for your candles, how to pour the candles, how to add the scents, all of the details you'll need to make some incredible soy candles on your own and make them handmade. Now, one of my very favorite things to hand make as gifts are, of course, candles. Now, if you've watched my vlog in the past, you might remember that years ago, about 25 years ago, I used to have a little craft business and I sold candles. Now, the wax and the scents that I used for those candles are no longer available. So I went looking for something in a smaller quantity. When I used to make candles before, I would buy my wax in 50-pound boxes because I made such a quantity of candles. It was really important to have that wax available. And it was a big deal. My husband had to cut it down for me, and we melted it and had it all ready for the candles. Well, when I started making candles again, just a few years back, I really needed a new product. And I landed on the Arts and Crafts natural soy wax. I buy it in 10-pound boxes right from Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. Of course, I am not sponsored at all by Arts and Crafts. It's just something I found that was a good product. And I had to learn a little bit more about wax and work with soy wax. I'd never worked with that product before I started to using the Arts and Crafts variety. Now, my vessels for these candles are always things I've found around the house. Sometimes I bought jars to make these. A lot of times I've bought jelly jars. But this time, today, I'm making these on Thanksgiving Day. We don't have any visitors today. We're all by ourselves. Our company is coming tomorrow. And so I want to get an early start on my candles. And I was looking around the house for some vessels I could use. And a lot of these are colored glass. I think they're going to be really pretty. I have a couple different china pieces, some old mugs that I know I've used before when I've made candles. But just a kind of an assortment, a variety. The little ones I'm going to use, I have a specific gift set in mind for certain people. If you notice, I also have a really interesting new scent that I've been working with. Now this summer, when I was working on Grace's wedding, we were making a lot of candles for some of the favors and gifts for the shower and things like that. And I ran into a new company that I'd never seen before. Again, I'm not sponsored. It's called Vine Vita, and they have excellent candle fragrance oils. I've used them also for soaps, for bath scrubs, things like that. Very excellent scents. The 3 I show you here, probably the 2 of these I'll use for Christmas scents, and those are the apple hot baked pie and the buttercream icing. The one in the center is a fantastic fragrance that Steve often makes, Soap Lamal, and it's a knockoff of a fragrance. But Vine Vita, I really want to recommend their site. Again, I'll try to put the link in the description. Not at all sponsored, but they have excellent oils. Now, along with the oil and the wax, there's a bag of the wax. This is what the wax looks like out of the bag of the Arts and Crafts. They also include 100 wicks in every box. I've never been able to use that many wicks in anything. I've got tons and tons of wicks backed up because I never need that many wicks for what we're going to do. First, I've never done this before, but we're going to try the hot glue method of centering our wicks. And then this year, I'm going to try a new centering technique involving tongue depressors of all things. I find that keeping the wick in the center of the candle while you're pouring it and while it's cooling down is one of the hardest things to do, and that the wax on the candle wicks will start to melt with the heat of the soy wax. And soy melts at a super low temperature, which is great because you don't need to heat it up too hot to get it to melt. Right here, I'm just using a glue gun in the center of each vessel to make sure my wicks are right in the center. You'll see also I've never tried this technique, but the tongue depressor method when I'm pouring is going to keep that wick stationary in the center. And this really worked well. I had never done it before. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now here I'm adding my soy wax to the candle cooker. My intention is to have 2 different batches, one of the buttercream icing and one of the apple pie. And here we go. Here's the beauty of time lapse. It's going to melt in the candle wax cooker. I just stirred it up a little bit as it was melting, and it really doesn't take that long at all. The beauty of soy wax is that it does melt at a low temperature, and that makes this candle pour just like a breeze to work with. You can also melt your soy candle wax in the microwave in a glass container. I have also tried that before as well. Because it's such a low temperature, it takes just minutes to melt the candle wax, not long at all. I am going to add 1 ounce per pound to the candle wax. So there is 5 pounds of candle wax in this cooker. And how I figured that is I had 10 pounds when I started. I went downstairs and I measured what was left in the bag, and I added a little to our melter, and I'm gonna have 2 even 5-pound pours for this holiday season. So I'm just trying to use up 1 box of 10-pound candle wax, and then it's not left and sitting around. So 1 ounce of scent. We are using buttercream icing. I am not adding any color to these ones. These ones have the colored vessels to start with, and I think the white will just look amazing in the colored vessels. So here is 5 ounces of fragrance, and that's a nice strong scent. I think people will love it. So we're gonna mix that up. Again, I'm just stirring. I have just like a pencil. Stir that up. I'll pour the first couple and then we'll put it on time lapse. Now my husband designed this candle wax pour, and man, I have really enjoyed using it. It just makes it a breeze. I went ahead and set my tongue depressors up so that it would go really fast. So here's a little bit of the second batch of the apple pie scented candle. And for the coloration in that one, I added a few wax chips that were sort of a burgundy color or hue. And it really helped kind of infuse those with a nice color. Here's a final look at our finished candles. We had the buttercream icing and of course the hot baked apple pie in the vintage containers. Some of them are china, all different types of vessels that you can use for your handmade candles. Thank you so much for joining me for day 3 of our vintage handmade Christmas, and of course our soy candles. So much fun to make, so easy to make, and such a wonderful gift that everyone will enjoy. Thank you so much for joining us for this day 3 of our vintage handmade Christmas, and join us tomorrow as we're going to go antiquing to get some ideas for gifts.